What's up, Felroaders? I'm Joshua Thomas, and you are watching another Felroad Express How to Play video for Star Wars Rebellion and its expansion, Rise of the Empire. Now, we're on part 9, and it's going to be all about leaders and a little bit of information about team play as well. This video is probably going to have more interlinks with all of the other videos than any of the other videos. And that's because leaders are essential for just about every single part of the game, and so you're going to see a lot of the rules in this video reiterated in other videos. First off, we're going to take a look at starting leaders. Each team is going to have 4 starting leaders, and if you're playing a team game, you're going to separate them into generals, which are denoted by the orange at the bottom of their cards, and admirals, which is denoted by the blue symbol at the bottom of the cards. In a team game of 3 players, the Imperials will have 2 players and the Rebel will have 1 player. Now, the Imperial, 1 player will be the General and 1 player will be the Admiral, but for the Rebel player, they will play both parts separately. And the reason for that, if you look right here at this number, is that there is a turn order for the Rebel and the Empire. So the Rebel Admiral goes first, but if you look over here, the Imperial Admiral goes second, then the General goes third, and finally the Rebel General goes last. So in a 3-player game, the Rebel player will take 2 separate turns, and in a 4-player game, each person will take their own separate turns. When it comes to the recruitment phase, which there are 4 phases in the very beginning of the game, 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're going to recruit new leaders, and you're going to do that with your action cards, which we talked about in an earlier video. So you get to draw 2 action cards and figure out, oh man, which one of these action cards and leaders am I going to keep? You're going to take one, you're going to keep the action card and keep that leader, and you might want to be careful about who you choose because, once again, only the Admiral can use the blue leaders, and if you get totally stacked up with blue leaders, then the General is going to have nobody to work with. But maybe that's in your plans anyway. Leaders can also go on special assignments. Now these are outside of mission cards, these are from the special action cards. And take Han Solo for instance, he can find an old friend, either place him in Bespin to recruit Lando, or in Kashyyyk to recruit Chewbacca. So hey, he can go to Kashyyyk whether there's Imperials or Rebels there or not, and then he's gonna get good old Chewie right there alongside him. The way the game is set up is kind of convenient for multiplayers. You see, everything that the General takes care of is going to be on this side of the board, to include the deck of objectives, and for the Imperials, the probe deck and the projects card. And for the Admiral, everything that the Admiral takes care of is going to be on this side of the board, which is the build queue. And then they also take care of the action deck, and the General takes care of all mission-related cards. When it comes to assigning leaders to missions, it's important to note what the leader's abilities are. So in this case, Grand Moff Tarkin has 1 logistics, 1 intelligence, and 1 diplomacy. So if we flip this card over, we see it has a requirement for 2 intelligence. Well, he's not going to be able to complete this, so it remains face down and secret, and it's going to return to your hand at the end of the round. Sometimes you can place 2 leaders on a card, even if 1 leader is more than enough to complete that mission. What this means is that you just really, really want to complete that card, and you want to make it more difficult for the opposition to prevent you from failing by allowing you to roll more dice with 2 leaders. For each one of the matching symbols that's on the leader's ability, you get that number of dice. Also, there are special cards that have the leader's symbol on it right here. If you send that leader on that particular mission, you get an automatic +2 successes for succeeding on that mission. During the end refreshing phase of the game, you're going to return all your leaders to the leader pools. So the generals in orange go to the general side, and the admirals to the admiral side. Now, be very careful, because if you're not careful with the rebel leaders, one of them could get turned to the dark side. Oh man, not Ben Kenobi. Plot twist. So, he can end up working as a general for the Empire. Then all of the Imperials go back. So you can see here the asymmetry of how the general has way more and the admiral has way less. This can be important because if you run out of leaders to use, then you're going to have to pass for your turn. However, keeping leaders in your pool, even if you pass, you can still use these leaders to oppose missions and add them to combat. Remember that when it comes to moving leaders, it's important to know that if you have a leader in a sector, that leader prevents these troops from moving. So, if you want to lead an attack on a rebel base, well, you're only going to be able to move in some, not all of your troops, which could make that attack less effective. Whenever combat happens, a leader from the defending force can be added to the attack as well. And then you're going to use these numbers on the sides of the leader's card to determine how many tactics cards you get to draw for the space battle and for the land battle. Now, using advanced tactics and the expansion rules, this is how many dice you get to re-roll in the space battle, and this is how many dice you get to re-roll in the ground battle. And personally, if you do not have the expansion, I highly, highly recommend getting it. So much better. When leaders need to roll dice to complete missions, it's important to note that in the expansion, the leaders have major actions, which allow them to roll a normal dice, and minor actions, or minor abilities, which allow them to roll green dice instead. The big difference for the green dice is that they've got 2 direct hits on them, and all other sides are blank. Leaders are also important when it comes to retreating. In a multiplayer game, either the admiral or the general can choose when they want to retreat, and the other can't stop them. So, if you decide that it's time to get out of there, you can pull your forces out, and the other leader isn't going to stop that from happening. Yay, we won! Also remember that leaders can only have 1 ring at a time. So if Wedge Antilles had good old R2-D2, and he gets captured, he's going to have to lose the R2-D2 ring and put on the captured ring. Man, I'm becoming a pro at putting those rings on. Also remember that if multiple leaders are in a sector, all of the leaders get to add their abilities in order to try and accomplish a mission. Also, if they're in combat, only the leader with the highest space ability and the highest ground tactic ability are the ones that get used for each team. Well, it can get a whole lot more complicated than that, but that's basically everything you need to know when it comes to the leaders. If you feel like I've forgotten anything, or if you still have some questions about something that I didn't cover, try checking out some of the last videos that I did in this series, and also just leave a comment below and maybe I can answer your question for you. Be sure and like and subscribe, and click that little bell button next to the subscribe button so that you can get the rest of these videos that are coming out for these series and all of our other updates that we have for our videos on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you next time. Hey, is there a question that you had that this video didn't answer? Leave a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But keep in mind that your answer might just be in a different video if it's in a different category. Thanks for watching.